Well, look like I have to talk about Loud House yet again. Seriously, do you ever take a break from that? So let's be honest here. No matter what, and how Loud House is still enjoyable despite jumping to the shark, family bonding for the sake of good storytelling, and any kind of shit, the plots are a lot more nonsensical and lame that each episode got worse and barely got good any episode with a boring episode. It may have turned itself around little, only limited to Nickelodeon's quirky status quo is God for the sake of good show and care little about continuity in the slightest and barely figure out what to do with it. Because it's made for kids bullshit with unfunny fart jokes, annoying characters and some shit to think it's good show and good storytelling. It's crazy to say that the Loud House has dragged this thing to the mess the way unfortunate cash grabbing for the sake of popularity and humor fail miserably and people just don't know the fuck they gonna do. I can see people pin on bad writing, boring episode and boring season, flanderization, and the list goes on. And even mean-spirited moments at times and turn into a kid show version of Family Guy, the ones it's never recovered since then. Seriously, for people who claim Loud House is not a mean-spirited show, I bet people don't watch this show as a whole in some episode. Well, considering they came here for shipping materials, and that's it. Maybe that's why. The Loud House has been lost in charm like it's used to, at least for me. I lost interest since then and turned into hot boiling water during season 5, even though season 4 is the one that started to suck and painfully unfunny, as the series goes. And have cash-grabbing bullshit for the sake of good rating, just like another Nicktoons show for that one. And broad action adaptation series despite that film is not even good and desperate tried to be unique to satisfy kids out there. None of this shit is really exhilarating with the crappy lit action adaptation that it's done poorly. And even dealt with the Loud House fandom as a whole of gross shit, huge boner for shipping, overly defensive stands, filling gaps reactions and all that shit they couldn't handle. It's difficult to find anyone who is sane fans of this show that aren't bizarre and flash or disgusting. But you know what, I don't have time to talk about it, because I have one character that needs to aggress for this video. So, unexpectedly, I'll be talking about the infamous Loud sibling, none other than Lynn Loud Jr. The biggest controversial character due to Lynn's obnoxious and inconsistent she becomes. Yes, I say Lynn Loud is a controversial character, not a hated, so don't fight on this. It's been going on for years since the one episode existed the way someone should make a video about her a long time ago. Well, some people did videos on her, but only just listening to go rant-style rants and all the crap makes little to no sense, us showing they have no fucking idea how to make rant work. And it's just lame as hell.
Loud Jr.? Oh my god, this character from the Loud House sucks. I know who likes this character, but do you know who hates this character? Dion Media 2008, Act Whack 98, and Rainbow's Studio Pia Efra Blocks Skaka. So screw Lynn Loud Jr. And screw Lori Loud. Leanie Loud is 567,000 times better than Lynn Loud Jr.
So, I have to make a video about Lynn for the point of viewing ranting sections without go on violent style rants bullshit. That would be boring. Anyway, Lynn is one of the most obnoxious characters with poorly written characters. She is known well for as the most unlikable, annoying, and disgusting character in modern television. To be fair, I can see she's an athletic sports character with tomboy looking the way it's her things and her personality as a whole. People considerably find this character relatable compared to the rest of the Loud siblings and enjoy watching her as a series. However, since she is one of the most obnoxious characters of the series, it's tremendously difficult to like her and couldn't bear listen to her winniness bullshit whenever she lost a game and some shit. And even she treats her sibling like shit irrationally and see them as punching bag machine, mainly her brother Lincoln. She does it to him a lot, where she is constantly rousing, messing around, blaming him for her problem that he couldn't do, calling him stinkhorn, and even threatening to beat him up shit. She does have her moment, I guess, but the limited Lynn switches on and off and loses her charms almost entirely after the infamous episode comes to light and barely recovers from it. Not even the notorious season 4 and Inward is a big downfall for all of them for the sake of comedy with poor character development and continually annoying character. I'm pretty sure Lynn Loud Jr. haters out there are really excited about this, considering their deep hatred or just got tired of her and watch me go crazy and any stupid shit. Even though I have no intention to waste time shit in her by having her death wishes and shit, simply just came here to make a video to find out why Lynn is controversial and trash as a character for the rest of the series. And even Lynn stans will blame me for being toxic haters bullshit despite I have my own reason for doing so aside from no such luck for one or more specific reason. And get this, I do not like Lynn Loud Jr. either at all. given how she is an obnoxious and annoying character, as the series goes and throws a hissy fit for the tiniest thing that I couldn't stand her. Here is the thing, when the show came out 6 years ago, I immediately adored her and found her fun character as quirky as the main cast. I thought Lynn was a fun character despite her gross moment and cringed at times like she was working and shit. And then I went to neutral even after watching the infamous episode. I was indifferent that she is sometimes annoying, but I can see some likable moment and supposedly received character development. As the series progressed with flamborization caught up to her during seasonal ruts in season 4 and inward, I am so tired of this character with whiny teenagers and sore loser brats. Not even her cliches personality stereotype that she did poorly and attempted to be humorous just for it's made for kids and ended up badly. I tried my best to stay positive and honest opinion, and then something got hold of it and very likely talked more and more negatively. Constantly, us people blame me for taking too seriously without doing anything rash during this video. So with that out of the way, let's start off with breakdown, personality, and the characters. So starting off, Lynn Loud Jr. is the 5th oldest of Lincoln's 10 sisters and one of the main protagonists of this show. It makes sense, this is what the Loud House is talking about, and that's shit fucking overkill, since the beginning. She is 14 years old, well 14 years old, as season 5 and inwards, a girl who played the sport a lot since she was infancy and became obsessed with it the day she kicked the ball out of curiosity, much to the surprise of her family and impressed how she's doing it. She is so obsessed with sports, since then and performs a series of good luck rituals before the game start. Like I said earlier, Lynn has been a passionate sports girl since she was in infancy that quick. And her personality is just to love sport and that it's, well, I know there's more than just sport, but only limited. She is aggressively and most annoying at it that she could not handle anything. Not just that, she is one of competitive that she immediately turn everything to complete competition, even if it's not a game and no one pays attention to her. Whenever she loses, Lynn will immediately throw a tantrum like a 5-year-old or make excuses and blame no one but herself and prove herself being a sore loser. Lynn is willingly the next level of a female version of low-tier god who play fighting games and lose his shit whenever he loses to a certain player with high-tier character and shit.
Look at this!
Despite all that, Lynn does have a soft side for her sibling and everyone else, I guess. Like, regarding she sees Lincoln as her punching bag rather than her own brother, she wants to spend time with him racing, playing a sport, and all that. Because, you know, not only athletic is her personality as a whole, but to share a solid sibling love. Yep, this is what Loud House is talking about for the sake of family bonding bullshit regardless of how Lynn treats him and her amongst teenager individuals. But worry not, it's not like she gonna do anything rash and horrific activities, as it was bad fanfic written and acts like she's no longer part of the family with murderous intent. Even then, it won't stop. Lynn is still antagonizing her siblings irrationally, especially her brother. She eventually revealed that she's acting this way because of middle school and troublesome situations that made her both the school's laughingstock and punching bag since she attended. It is a flimsy reason she's acting this way and trying to make people feel sorry for her despite her obnoxious behavior inconsistently. Simply someone who got bullied at school. Stereotypes and such a boring drag of Lynn's summary for the sake of character development. I'll get to it later. Moreover, Lynn Loud Jr. is played by Jessica DeSicco, alongside Lucy Loud, Sage Girdle, Bodan in certain roles in this show, given talking to herself and cross-dressing voice. And even the rest of her role, if you're unfamiliar with any character she voiced. You're probably thinking that I hate Jessica DeSicco for voicing my least favorite character in this show, and I'm willing to do anything stupid to make me feel better. No, that is definitely not the case. I do not hate Jessica DeSicco as a person or anything. She is one of the fanatic voice actresses in her roles. People talk about her how nice she is when she meets her at Comic-Con or something, sign their autographs, selfie, and so on. At least, she is a more professional voice actress than the couple of infamous voice actresses who may be enjoying their talent but becoming awful people and actresses, as a whole, for controversial reasons. Besides, it's not Jessica's fault that no one likes Lynn's role that much. The writer never gives her a chance the way they make her an extraordinarily unlikable and boring character with no chance of improvement. Even she did have some redeeming qualities, only limited that she's still a bad character. It makes no sense that people hate voice acting just because of playing the bad characters with cliches personalities, dull, angst, and so on and see them as evil Satan. It kinda reminds me of when Robbie Damon received backlash for the tiniest things, mostly because he plays Sway Sway from the infamous Nicktoons so-called Breadwinners, and that show is fucking terrible. Given Breadwinners has a cesspool of fart jokes, a god-awful design that doesn't look like Duck at all, the plot makes little to no sense and even twerks scene. And please, God, can someone gives me a fucking holy water in my eyes every time I see that shit. Nevertheless, I don't date Robbie Damon for random reason. Robbie is a pretty fanatic voice actor and a pretty nice guy at times. I'm sure there is plenty of role for him better than Sway Sway, and he is one of the bad characters with no character development or anything. It's not entirely Robbie's fault that his role of Sway Sway and Breadwinner, as a whole, is fucking bad. So, Breadwinners is no point in seeing in the light again because of cancellations and no airing schedule. Be forgotten forever, twerking fucks. And the same applies to Laura Bailey. You know, it's happened 2 years ago when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, and how to end up her characters getting after introducing to a new character who got really mad after her dear daddy was killed by Joel Lang.
You don't get to rush this. Let's get up!
So yeah, don't date the voice acting just because of bad characters and all that stuff. Especially you, violent users who take main characters too seriously. But yeah, we can all agree that Jessica DeSicco is a really good actress and hates Lynn as her character, and the writer never figures out what to do with her whatsoever. That's all I have to talk about is her personality and character, so let's begin talking about a little bit of positive and bad qualities before the most hated episode comes. I probably will not have a long explanation just for how Lynn got here and ended up recycling and repeating myself. I'll try to speed this up and cut to the points. You understand why? Probably. Lynn was likable in the first and early season 2 before the hated episode came. She barely had her episode, where she focused before eventually giving her a shine in a later season, but hey, nothing changed, and you can consider her a funny character. Sadly, not anymore due to more things go with Lynn Loud and the more inconsistent she becomes. I don't know what to say about the first episode, so it's all memorable, and nothing changed here that Lynn has barely talked, considering a cameo. Besides, in the next episode, where Lynn uses Lincoln for target practice playfully and finds a way to confront someone who is bullying Lincoln before eventually revealing it was none other than Ronnie N. They immediately shipped them and never stopped pestering him, until he do so. Lincoln had an idea to prove how he stood up to bully by kissing her to think she liked him, only got punched in the eyes after that, and Lincoln got mad for it and thought Loud sisters lied to them before Ronnie and actually like him as a crush by sending him a note and meat streak. I already talked about Ronnie and her relationship with Lincoln as a whole, so there is no need to remind and repeat myself just for the origin video, where Lynn was once likable despite her cringy moment. I doubt I have a lot to say about this, when it does not focus on Lynn's episode, where she either was there for rousing, playing with her sibling or her friends, Loud Sisters episode as a whole or just cameo. But it does need to be mentioned the ones Lynn has a few episodes that she focuses on, for the sake of character development and some shit. The character development is a keyword, so nothing really changed here much before that happened. Space Invader was my probably once favorite episode, before I fell out of love for a strangely reason, although that has nothing to with Lynn that I was indifferent to her before the series progressed. In the episode, where she got into a fight with Lucy over how they can't stand each other's lifestyles and habits and made Lynn leave her room, and she had to sleep in Lincoln's room, after he couldn't resist her puppy eyes like she's begging for candy or something, so she can't spend the night in his room. Imagine being an older sister and begging for a younger sibling to sleep with or something, which is bizarre, if you ask me. And then Lynn was there to mess around his room, doing many gross things and sometimes dangerous actions just for her enjoyment out of boredom.
Now, I'm noticing a complete lack of balls in this room. No soccer balls, no footballs, no baseballs, no balls. Good luce libre!
I can't see anything!
It's Lunatic Lynn off the third turnbuckle!
What? What? I can't hear anything either!
After night 1, where he was forced to sleep in the bathroom that he couldn't sleep, no thanks to Lynn's rousing and snoring loudly, he had her take her to her room and thinking should be forgive and forget. Only immediately got into a fight and argued over habits and lifestyle again and never bothered to talk to each other. Consequently, Lynn decided to stay in Lincoln's room for another night. He tried everything to make Lynn leave his rooms, such as God-looking Lonnie, but it's better than that dreadful looks in season 4 with ugly God-looking. and only limited that she's gained more and more enjoyment and laughing it off for his tactics and claims to be best roommates ever, much to his dismay. Until that moment when Lucy and Lynn miss each other, as having roomed together, Lincoln had an idea that he has best friends to do nice things to rekindle their relationship by setting up the candlelit dinner. They did, but they immediately got into an argument and never apologized to each other and had a food fight. But don't worry guys, they made up and rekindled their relationship and spent the night with Lincoln one last time, because their room is messy at the end of the episode. In Hand-Me-Down episode gives Lynn a shine, regardless of minor roles that she supposedly focuses in her, and has Lincoln spend most of his time giving him the spotlight. Don't know why, just to give Lincoln the spotlight for a random reason that Lynn was meant to be part of the episode. It's just bizarre and random. Oh, I can see how Lincoln was part of this episode, considering he used Lynn's bike without looking endgame for fame to make him look good rather than use his own bike, and then the bike went missing. And so, Lynn got freaked out about it, after he confessed to her what he did. However, it was revealed that her bike was also a hand-me-down the way one of her older sisters used it before, and she needed it for her stunt competition, but it was not here anymore, so she was forced to use her pink hand-me-down bike for her competitions. Afterward, while they were antiquing their bike and finding the parent bikes, Lynn won a competition and became a member of Linsanity and their leader. Even she started to like her pink bike. Well, cool. At least you're not a tomboy with pink-colored hater individuals, before the series progresses. Lastly, in the loudest yard, after Lincoln was signed up for the football by his parents, despite he has no interest in playing a sport, Lynn was eager to teach him how to play a sport, which he could be interesting, but he spent most of the time slacking off, screw up, and laziness to the point that Lincoln is clearly not good at playing sports by the time next scene. So, after countered by a talk and angst confrontation, Lincoln thought it was good to take his place for sports sections, which Lynn agreed and disguised herself as Lincoln, while he sat here and read the comic like chilling, before she came back from the game and make sure put mud in his face. Everything went well for him and Lynn until finding out about the main event, where he had to play with other teams, unbeknownst that Lynn was actually the one who played it and placed him for football, and she ended up getting injured by the rival teams. In order to Lincoln redeem himself for the way he relied in his sister to play the football for him too much and lied about it, Lincoln stepped in and played the football game. Lincoln managed to score the game and made a touchdown that he thought he won, but it turned out he was going the wrong way and making the Royal Woods Roosters lose the games and trophy. And so has his team chase him and get his ass beaten for making their game loses, and that's the end of the episode, where he has suffered Charlie Horse. And that's it. I don't think I have much say about this further, and how Lynn was used to be a likable and indifferent character. Some people found her annoying even before that episode came out, and some people adore her. At least Lincoln and Lynn were only strong bonding in this episode, I guess. And now, that's when the infamous No Such Luck premiere comes to light. So, he fucking dog.
4 days. 4 long days. 4 long days. 4 long days. 4 long days.
No Such Luck is one of the most overrated and beating dead horses the day episode premiere that people couldn't shake off their deep hatred of it. And, of course, this topic deserves to have pinned in it, cause you know, this is what Lynn fucking Loud Jr. is talking about. Regardless, this episode is beaten to death compared to other most hated episodes like Brawl in the Family, A Grave Mistake, Kings of the Con, Schooled, and the list goes on. No Such Luck serves as one topic to see, while Lynn is hated one or specific reasons regardless of beating dead horses that people never lay the fuck off. To be fair, I didn't like No Such Luck, and it's full of mean-spirited episodes with torture porn individuals. I can see why people hated this episode and made them start to hate on Lynn Loud because of this and declare she's the worst character on earth, even before her flanderization caught up to her. But good grief. It's been 5 years since the No Such Luck premiere, and too many people are still bashing and shit in this episode 24/7, and it's never stopped. People blame either Lynn or Lincoln the way No Such Luck is a most hated episode, and they got to fight each other. Mostly when people constantly defended Lincoln like he's a victim of her petty shit, and Lynn is the one who started and may blame him for everything and never took responsibility. And you know what, believe it or not, it's all pinned in me for this and lash at me that you could not handle. Lincoln and Lynn are the main problems of this episode feature and main antagonist overall. Yep, I said that both of them are the ones to be blamed and made them super unlikable. At least Lincoln skipped out on all the family activities so he could stay home and enjoy himself before ending up backfiring, and Lynn is just an obnoxious sport overgrown teenager who complains about everything and blames random people for shit. So, don't fight on this. Let us tell the episode of how she got here and is considered the most dated and beating dead horses of this episode. For starters, while Lincoln was eating breakfast, he heard that Loud sisters had other planned activities that he never got off from family activities and had boring trips. At least the schedule has never had planned activities himself. Mainly, his family couldn't let him and have him join the fun activities at Loud sisters' activities schedule. So, he tried to skip out and avoid it at all costs. Then only Lynn found him, who informed him that her softball game was coming up, and she needed the whole family to support her. He tried to decline that, he tried to evade it that he got something to do, but Lynn was like, "Nah boy, you have to come with me for my family." Otherwise, she would threaten to beat him up with a bat if he refused to comply, so he did out of annoyance. After the matches that she loses to her rival team, Lincoln gives her pity for how the game lost and screwed all up. Lynn, rather than just either tell him it wasn't his fault or understand what happened back then, immediately blamed him for making her game lose and look bad and claimed he was bad luck. He tried to deny he was not, but Lynn pinned him on and caused him to lose her game and banned him from the game. Sheesh. What a sore loser tantrum throwing teenager brats she is. Like his over-competitive freaks or something. Do you need a Kit Kat or something, girl? In the next scene, when Leanie wants to invite Lincoln to her activity, Lynn interferes and tells Leanie not to bring Lincoln, because he's just bad luck. And so, Lincoln decides to go through it and make him look like he's a bad luck rather than just tell Lynn to buzz off and tell her off. And that is when he proves to be bad luck, and Leanie immediately flees and bans him from any fun activities alongside the rest of the Loud family due to falling for his lies. After he had so much fun all by himself, the thing is about to get really messy and backfired. When Rita announces that they are all going to see a movie something, Lincoln is eager to see the movie. But, unfortunately, they decide not to take him to the movie because of bad fucking luck that Lynn Jr. told them and made the entire family completely idiots and sees him like he's a serial killer in the loose. They went to the movie without him and Lincoln seems he is okay with it. You know, okay with it, who internal screaming in his head. And then, when he was just about to go to bed, they actually locked him out of the room and people still see him like he's bad luck. So, they made him sleep outside and it's so damn cold outside, us proving to be child neglect individuals for that shit. In the morning, he found out he locked the door in purpose and, again, Loud family still treats him like he's a bad luck. Of course, they give him cereal to keep him from starving to death. Wow, how genuinely of them, I guess. He is starting to have it enough with that bullshit of how he's lied to them and backfired. Regardless, Lynn started that shit. So, he tries to confess that the only reason he made them think that he's bad luck just to go along with it and never have free time by himself that he had to skip out on all the family activities. He did, but Loud family was like, "No, you're still in bad luck, kid, and I can't have you join any family activities to how bad luck cost you and curse all of us much to Lincoln's chagrin." So, what is the other solution, since they refuse to listen? Well, he found the one solution. By wearing a squirrel mascot just to make Winnie and her team win the game and he redeems himself that he's no longer bad luck anymore. Well, good option for him, I guess, despite it was a kinda stupid idea, but whatever. So, in the end, Loud family, especially Lynn Jr., will Lincoln apologize for accusing him of bad luck. Everyone is reconciled again and allowed Lincoln to go to family activities anytime soon. As long that Lincoln has to wear a squirrel mascot during a family trip for the rest of his life. The end. So, there you have it. That's how Lynn becomes the most hated character for the rest of the series. And again, everyone knows that not only did Lynn get penned in and nearly turn her entire family against him, Lincoln is no better that he skipped out just to have his free time, and it backfired. Thus, he ends up butt monkey overkill like you keep stomping on someone like it's a million times. He did deserve some punishment for this, I can see that, but leaving him to sleep outside is too far. Who would imagine some people like Violenters do this to make a violent video where kids are getting punished in an extremely violent as hell? Oh, actually, I wouldn't try to drag them into this mess, because it might give them an idea in making an original video of punishment and assault shit. Now for the good part with no such luck related. Oh boy. Ever since the No Such Luck premiere, most people make violent hate art on Lynn as revenge in their Dear Lincoln for the torture porn feature and this episode in general. And make but for hate memes for it to make them feel better. People couldn't stop bitching and shitting on an infamous episode they ate and promoted deep hatred of this episode like a fucking lunatic. And every time I see the No Such Luck artwork feature, they just spend most of the time bitching and still make Sputford hate memes and hate art about this infamous episode and win all day and night. It just made me roll my eye at them for their cartoon abuse act. The real-life fanfiction about No Such Luck is fucking terrible and lame that most of them portray Lynn alongside the rest of the Loud family as a bad guy, and Lincoln is an innocent boy and kind with violent fanfic and cringeworthy heartwarming family drama shit. People thought it was good to rewrite fanfiction about them and make them bumbling idiots and Mary suing grace to individuals for just playing the nice guy and nice gal and making them error ways almost immediately and never realize Lincoln isn't much better. And even this kind, where Lincoln has revenge on her and Loud family for making him bad luck and now he returns to flavor in them by making them bad luck in retaliation. Either cruel and unusual punishment or cruel and unusual punishment. And speaking of hate art, by the way, I've seen people draw violent art in Lynn for bullying Lincoln and how to see reacted in No Such Luck premiere, and some people wish Lynn Loud has passed in a natural cause or something, so they waste no time dancing on her grave, even though she's a fictional character. Jesus, I bet people who rewrite the infamous episode of No Such Luck must be proud fan and Nazis individuals with a combination of so-called Lincolnston or whatever the fuck it's called. Since people have a deep hatred of No Such Luck and still see Lynn as a serial killer on the loose when it comes to fanfiction.net or any fanfic site. And wants Lynn dead for her treatment of Lincoln or any worse punishment. Just because Lynn is messing around with Lincoln that she hasn't done anything inappropriate to him, whenever teasing and shit, regardless of Lynn being a typical big sister bully quirky rather than just an ordinary teasing and still obnoxious character. Listen, I don't like No Such Luck either. It's very unbearable to watch, especially when and the rest of the Loud siblings see Lincoln like he's a serial killer in the loose simply she lose to her game bullshit. But anytime I saw violent hate art and some shit, people would immediately be pinned in you for treating Lynn like she's a villain's situation and Lincoln is innocent and kind bullshit. Two wrongs don't make it right and none of the No Such Luck fanfic is even funny and cool. At all. Oh, there is also Lincoln running away fanfic, the one with Lincoln growing tired of it and making him leave his house for good and doubtfully, he's coming back. That is, until Loud's family came to apologize for what they did to him, and Lincoln immediately forgave them and became family again. Mainly on mean Loud sisters like Lynn Jr. herself. Even in the infamous fanfiction Lincoln is done one of them tried to kill themselves after what happened to their dear brother and made people think that fanfic right there is a fucking worst offender. I am not kidding. That fanfiction has to be the most fucked up and disturbing story I ever heard. I get that it's supposed to be a suicide story for the sake of sad fanfiction, but whatever it is, it's plain disturbing. I know, that probably has nothing to do with No Such Luck, but I came to bring this up, as implying to be Lynn is portrayed as a suicidal girl who has done something fucked to Lincoln and decided to end her own life. If you ask me, most of the No Such Luck rewrites are plain bad, baffling plots, and repetitive whenever they tried to copy and paste their works. So yeah, I'm comfortable saying both Lynn and Lincoln are the problem of this episode, as I said, so neither of you tried to convince me otherwise. What I have seen on the Ghost Town site, there is someone made a meme of how to fix it by nothing or how to fix that episode better, and what makes it better. He is known for repetitive content with the same explanation all over again, like you've already seen it a million times between film memes reactions and non-reaction ones combined, and shrug off any creativity other than just pick remaker that made of fan children on his beloved pairing. No offense to him, by the way. But I'd gonna say most of the list sounds intriguing that Lynn would be an indifferent or probably likable character and not make her super unlikable and generic teenager spoiled brats inconsistent. Lynn would persuade Lincoln that she needed to support her family and her team during her game, and Lincoln was like, okay, but in exchange, I need to make my own schedule, so I don't want to Loud family activities keep going on in all day and night and have a plan for something. Even after she loses the game, she only jokes about it a tad and doesn't blame Lincoln for being a bad luck. You know, winning isn't everything, and she needs to learn about it. Lincoln still gets the idea, and the rest of the plot is kicked off, believe it or not. And don't worry guys, they weren't doing anything stupid by throwing him out of the window and treating Lincoln like he's a serial killer in the loose. Instead, they give him a better way to use their beliefs to make him realize his mistake, like having them quarantine him in his room or something like that. And so, he has to find a way to break a curse and then everything back to normal. Like Lucy's book that it could use once they performed the ritual. which could be interesting that no such luck would be better fanfic written than original ones with an overall mean-spirited and baffled plotline. Even some people who acknowledge this episode is bad and have them fix the plot fanfiction without unnecessary family drama bullshit with violence stuff and any cringe crap. But you know what, I care way less about any of that, because it still sounds like a bad rewrite that many people do this on No Such Luck, and people are waiting for Lynn's payback for what she did to Lincoln and get revenge in her. Because Lynn is a karma Houdini who gets away with her deed, not even her flimsy apology at the end of the episode and obnoxious character remain. Anyway, enough talking shit about beating dead horses, so let us see how Lynn Loud Jr. is treated as the series progresses. So, this will probably have a rough ride for character development to see how she is treated and how the writer handled it. Most people say she received character development and expect them to start to like her just because of backstory or something. Well, to be fair, I can see the writer wanted to make them more interesting and tried to make them likable and turned into good characters for the sake of a storyline that people were excited about. But exchanged, I wanted to make a balanced plotline and no random too nice knife flash gal immediately. It makes zero sense that people said they changed with this poor character development and get super mad when someone pointed it out. However, Lynn does have some improvement, I guess, at least, where she starts to learn and grow as a character that winning isn't everything in one episode. We all saw how Lynn Loud goes with competitive freaks and continually sore losers most of the time, but hey, the writer tried their best to improve and tried to make Lynn likable again. I can see some episodes she appears somewhat decent and grow as a character for a bit and matures for seconds. Even she owes an explanation for why she acts like this in one episode. I was impressed how the writer handled it and tended to redeem herself that she eventually wore off their hatred and found a way to make Lynn's interesting and relevant again. Well, regardless, that doesn't stick for long, where she unlearns any of it and reverts her old ways from time to time. Does Lynn Loud Jr. improve? Yeah, a little bit. At least, in a few episodes she appears and lets them know that she still cared about her sibling and her friends, which the Loud House was talking about, regardless of the mean-spirited moment and flanderization. But does Lynn is a good character now? Nope. No matter what everyone, especially Cartoon-a-Wish, tried to convince, force, or demand me to stop hating on her with the status quo of hate is getting old, I still consider Lynn is an awful character and she never improved properly. And I'd rather watch the working show with Duck looking than her. Anyway, let's take it easy for a while and show how she changed bit by bit. At least somewhere between Season 3 and Season 4, I guess. Even in Season 5, regarding that Lynn ended up flanderization compared to the rest of the Loud siblings. I'll make it quick after beating the dead horses of one episode. In one episode, Lynn has found her love interest, the one who has dissimilar cliched personality, because he loves sports and gross things, I guess. Simply, they share a common, since they love sports and shit. This could be interesting but only limited that Francisco and the rest of Loud Sisters' love interest from LA's for Love only appear in one episode, and then that shit is never mentioned or brought up again. It's such wasted and boring Craig, if you ask me. I find that shit dissimilar with a flat personality and background characters just to have them serve as a love interest. It's just there for shipping materials that people care about, even as a considerably guilty pleasure. It's no secret that Lynn Jr. flat out admitted that she finds him dehydrated and lost interest in him off screen.
I mean, I thought I had a crush once, but it turned out I was just dehydrated.
Even then, people are desperately hoping their beloved character with a flat personality to return so they can rule their ships or whatever rather than have Chandler McCann, Mr. Baldhoffner, Flip, and one of the overhated characters' screen time. And never realize that the Loud House is not even a romantic comedy drama genre that gives people a terrible headache and wastes time milking ship to please them. Oh, as for extra, I've seen people ship her with Clyde, just because of favorite reasons despite their minor interactions and hoping Winnie and Clyde are getting together. Which I find unnecessary, typical Jock X-nerd cliches and possibly rehash of another overhyped ship Ronnie Cullen but the version of generic bullying character for Lynn. I'll talk about it a little bit later. As I said, in Winner Takes All, Lynn starts to improve a little bit and eventually realizes that winning isn't everything and that she shouldn't turn everything into competitive every time at the end of the episode. I didn't like this episode as a whole due to Lynn's went shit, competitive freaks, and boring episode, but this one only has a few redeeming qualities that people said it was. At the beginning of the episode, Lincoln tells the audience how Lynn is victory gloating and rubbing it off other people's faces every time Lynn wins every single game they play. Tired of Lynn's obnoxious behaviors and victory gloating a lot of times, they have a family meeting to figure out how to beat her and stop victory boasting about it. They tried to make a suggestion board game that might be the only way to beat her, but only to be outplayed by Lynn and still gloat to their face. Us never stopped doing that. That is until Lisa suggested a game that required all of them to go against her, and the board game is called the Settlers of Catland. That's my chance to beat Lynn once and for all to end her winning streak. They built as many structures as possible by forming an alliance and bang on her that they finally outplayed her good, eventually winning the game. Lynn was stunned at this, how they finally beat her, and most of the Loud siblings get finally rested and concluded that Lynn should stop being a sore winner. It wasn't long before Lynn continually became more and more obnoxious that she immediately turned everything into a fucking competition, and her pesky gloating catches up to her and rubs their faces. She brushed her teeth faster than Lola, drank faster than Lincoln with milk, ran up the stairs faster than Leanie, having a race competition, while they minded their own business. All that's tough. Realizing Loud siblings' plan is backfired, Lincoln had other plans that they had to rematch against her. In condition, they have to throw the game in hopes Lynn will stop obnoxiously victory gloating, so Loud siblings agree. The plan works fine when they give her any card that Lynn wants and switch the side of the die to a higher number. Well, until Leanie being Leanie throws the game board out of a window. And so they owe an explanation for why they did it, that they were so tired of Lynn being a sore loser and sore winner alike whenever the game they played. She told them that she was regaining her edge just to do exercising when over competitive, since she lost. At the same time, the rest of her siblings told her that they were tired of her obnoxious gloating and a sore loser every second whenever they played the game together. Lynn acknowledged this, learned that winning isn't everything, and she'll stop being sore losers and sore winners, and promised to start being a good sport in the future. Cool. Lynn finally knows that winning isn't everything and promises to be a better sport. Although I didn't enjoy this episode, they did their work. How Lynn learned that winning is not everything and learned to have fun and not to be a sore loser like a raging gamer who loses to someone in fighting games. Oh, what I have seen deleted scene is that Lynn's teeth come out of blood after brushing her teeth, and what the fuck? Who would imagine having blood in kid shows like Syl used to do that on Lori whenever they see each other that the foreigners used to crush on? It was lucky it's never shown and changed it instead, so thank God. That's just fucking disturbed as hell, if you think about it. In Net Games, she has to train her teammate for the championship game a few days after she was forced to join Turkey Jerkies that she did not sign up for. And then Lynn gets impatient due to her teammate lacking skills, so she had other plans to pass the ball at her and no teamwork, much to their chagrin and annoyance. Lynn has turned her personality down a notch that she was desperately trying to win it and shown to be a competitive freak and wanted to go alone. So, after a while, she apologizes for what happened and starts to have teamwork and they win the game. Lynn acknowledges that it's all about having fun and teamwork and starting to grow as a character now at the end of the episode. In Middlemen, she finally reveals why Lynn is a jerk to Lincoln and almost everyone from the start, especially the Beating Dead episode that people finally waited for. To make it quick, let's say where Lincoln and his best friend Clyde go to the tours in middle school just before they moved here in season 5, so Lynn has them tours for it. To make it any interesting, she gives them awful advice by being rude to everyone, telling them not to like a total loser, and never apologizing to anyone and acting tough through survival. Alright, I can see what she was trying to accomplish to be protect him and Clyde and act tough when it comes to middle and high school, considering bullies out there and some sort. After a while, she withdraws and has them figure it out on their own, because she has to work to do and have them spend the rest of the day alone to understand their surroundings better and deal with bullies out there. So, they were struggling. They tried to follow the path of that girl with a great hoodie and got humiliated and tried to survive the school. And plot twist, it was Lynn Loud Jr. all along, and she was suffering from bullying at school. And Lincoln and Clyde caused a lot of trouble and people thought they were willing to hang on them and challenge them to fight at 3 o'clock due to the bad influence of Lynn that topped them and screwed them pretty badly. Realizing she made them a bad influence after the tour and gave them bad advice during the Black Talk meeting, she admittedly it's her own fault, like she has to drag them into a mess and not want the same fate as her when she got attended to middle school. And her reason why she acts like this.
It's from what happened to me. My first year of middle school was a real horror story. Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the gym?
Oh sure, it's real easy. Just head down those stairs over there.
All me. I finally figured out that if I acted tough, people would stop messing with me.
That's rough, buddy.
In all seriousness, I find that backstory is weak as hell, considering she sees her sibling as their punching bag machine, mainly Lincoln being a sore loser that she could not handle, gross habit and shit, and we supposed to feel sorry for her. Talk about if pulling and forced dregs, for having being bullied at school, Stereotype, and poor backstory on how she reacts whenever she loses to the game and shit. But let's take it easy for now, because Lynn has received some character development and has changed a little bit. I thought the writer would eventually begin to grow as a character and become relevant and likable again for the show. So, I thought I actually had faith in her and decided to make Lynn a lot of interesting characters for the sake of character development and balanced ones. And she eventually starts to grow as a character now, right? No, I was wrong, because Lynn immediately went back to an obnoxious character from time to time and learned nothing for the sake of humorous bullshit when Thin Ice comes, and she has gotten worse and worse. That episode is hilariously fucking worse. Lynn serves as a attention-seeking girl who is over-demanding and super annoying. She acts like a 5-year-old spoiled brat who gets what she wants and forces them to go with her to the game just because she wants her team to win the game, to think that otherwise she just falls in depression for the tiniest things. And so Lynn Sr., Bodan, and Lincoln, of course, comply with going with her to keep her happy. She is so eager to go in there and tends to embarrass her family out of spite and annoy the hell out of the entire hockey stadium, and as the security guard tries to kick her out and have a brawl, that Lynn desperately go back in there enthused up in hopes her precious team winning. At the end of the episode, Lynn got what she wanted to see her meeting her favorite ice hockey player Rowdy McQuads, and that's the happy ending for the piece of shit longest girl. And she gets no remorse or learns anything of it, since her goal is being obsessed with winning her favorite teams and portrayed as a 5-year-old immature teen. She roughs and embarrasses her family. In the Hero Today, Con Tomorrow episode, Lynn gets really mad at her best friend, Margot, after the latter gains a lot of attention than her and makes her MVP player. Lynn gained jealousy because of this, the way soccer games came to light, so she tried to purposefully win another soccer game before Margot did to make her relevant and popular again and have a serious feud between them, and they had a fight over it. Sheesh, not like someone is way better than her just because she plays so well, and then Lynn came out of nowhere and desperately got attention and special privileges again, much to Margot's annoyance and cut ties with her. Temporarily, because it's the Loud House is talking about. Don't tell, when I see her Lynn being whiny strikes again after a soccer game despite she just won. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, that episode of Sitting Bull is a pretty bad episode, in my opinion, and I didn't like Lynn being rousing and mean-spirited moment at times, but hey, I guess they did have a good time with Fox Kids with rousing and some shit. However, that episode is still utterly bad, and Lynn's poor performance overall. I can keep doing this for the sake of the video, but this video is way too long for that bullshit. I'll speed this up. Not out of laziness bullshit, but not wanted to recycle and get this done for my thought in the episode she's focused on. I didn't like singled out episode, it's incredibly dull as hell, and I don't care much for her teammates' love interest, respectively. It even has their moment of LGBT representation between Lainey and Alice. The one has good sign of LGBT establishing moment, I guess. So, nothing changed about her. Girl, Interrupted is boring, whereas Lynn catches up to her with unlikable acts. This The Cooks episode is boring, although Lynn did some decent moments, where she helped Lincoln to find out Lunch Lady to find out why she didn't like them for not inviting her to Rita's party, when they were young and never realized that. Good Sports is an actually fine episode, and the only one, where she and Mr. Goss is bonding sports buddies to having a share common, since they like sports, and that it, despite conflict moment for a bit. And Cloud by Kids is kingdom and boring at times, but Kaylin once again learns her lesson that winning isn't everything and still has to listen to the same lesson over and over again in bonding with Lime that I don't care for him much. In addition, while Schooled episode has nothing to do with Lynn's episode as a whole, I have seen her abusing the power of the hall monitor and acting up again with unlikable traits and trying to be funny that fails miserably. I know season 6 isn't finished yet, but I can see each episode tried to be humorous and failed miserably and stuck up rehash, recycle script, and flandrization. Let's say that the 20-hour has to be the detestable and baffling episode that Lynn is fucking strikes again with more unlikable as hell after the old lady's bad-mouthing and taunting her for her poor performance and threw a temper tantrum about and ended up unlikable as usual. Well, to be fair, Lincoln is the one who is utterly unlikable than Lynn, given he did give awful advice by telling her to ignore criticism and act like they are being intoxicators who wanted to make someone look bad and treat them like they are villainous situations. Not even Lincoln flat out saying, again, discarded listening to criticism, whether actual or blunder, and seeing the haters are evil serial killers on the loose, while trying to help.
At first he really got to me, but the more I ignored him, the easier it got. Plus, why should I care what he has to say? I'm doing what I love. And that's all that matters.
And if you can handle—
While I'm a not moral guy who just came here to watch the show, I just sat here and lost tongue silently for the rest of the episode because of his bad morals. Just wow. Fuck that episode anyhow, which I already see people waste no time review bombing all over intersections and considerably worse than No Such Luck, believe it or not. And even this kind involves Lily episode of how baffled episode goes, although that has nothing to do with Lynn. I wonder how Lynn Loud Jr. sounded like when she was hated by one of the femmes and controversial during her spotlight and life as an infamous character and bad episode she appears as.
Hi, my name is Lynn Loud Jr., and I'm the biggest dumbest piece of shit on earth. I get super lectured every time I lose to that rival team, so I make excuses and flash with little tantrum like 3 years old and never act mature or anything. I know that winning isn't everything, but unfortunately, I learn nothing and continue being a rapper whenever I lose a fucking game. It makes sense that this is fucking status quo. Is not talking about and the writer doesn't seem to realize what you're about making me interesting and character development bullshit. And I even treat my sibling like shit, especially my little brother, Stinkhole. But don't worry, I'm not a bad guy here just to let you know I love him with my heart and want him to catch fucking attention to play with me and roughhousing. So, if the writer knows what to do with making me good character again, with property character development or whatever, then make one because a loud house is all about it.
Let's face it. If someone had a kid like me, believe it or not, I'll try to firm their behavior and understand that winning isn't everything for them and it's all about having fun. Besides, I wouldn't want to end up as an obnoxious character or anyone who is an overall competitive freak and cares about winning bullshit. That's why someone would have a better path and have a good life with sportsmanship. Either way, I can confirm that Lynn received poor character development. Yes, poor character development with no balance, never chances to shine or anything, and even more dull character for the rest of the show. It's just how sad that shit goes. Even when she turns herself around a bit, she's still an awful character, and there is nothing you do to convince or change my mind about her otherwise. Believe me, the writers still have no clue what to do with her other than making her straight up generic bullying quirky characters, and such a failure never had anything with her performance for the most part. Anyway, let's talk about Lynn's hatedom and her stands now. I don't think I have a long explanation between Lynn stands and haters and some shit. And I'm not the type of dude who is willingly about to repeat myself with hate memes and some sort during No Such Luck sections, so let's just say people couldn't shake off their deep hatred and still want her dead, so they can't celebrate death whatsoever. Once again, after No Such Luck premiere, people got really mad at her, so they portrayed Lincoln as innocent little boy angels and Lynn as Cain with a female version family murder and never realized Lincoln had the same problem as her. Or any of that proves themselves defensive Lincoln stands that they can't fucking handle it. Like sheesh, people have been holding against her for a long time and never shake off their pure hatred and never bothered to put up more explanation of why Lynn is a bad character other than just one episode. People disregard that Lynn has changed and act like she's the worst Loud sister ever, much as I agree that I'll consider her poor character development, whines too much, and uninteresting character. At least, people live in the past and can't be bothered to go watch modern episodes about Lynn. Especially, whenever Lynn did something nice things and acted like Lynn was being mean to Lincoln all the time. And I have seen that people made Lynn look like she's a Hitler and sees her like she's worse than Hitler status quote. And yes, someone made Lynn Loud's Hitler looks with recoloring sections and people immediately went ballistic and lashed at them. I honestly don't know what to say about this, but I believe that infamous deviant got deleted back then, so it's good you never have a chance to see it, unless you saw that crappy film meme that infamous A-logger still has it. Once again, it is filled with gruesome hate arts, hate memes, and some shit alongside a terrible rewrite of No Such Luck, and any one episode feature put me to fucking sleep and barely stay still and fall asleep immediately. Pardon who got so offended over bad-mouthing shit. Fixing fanfiction on canon episode never solves the problem, and it won't make another episode where Lincoln gets his revenge in Lynn and everyone else who falls in Lynn's lie. Get over it, lunatic fan and extremist. I'm pretty convinced Lincoln stands nowadays who couldn't fucking handle it and act like Lynn is not gonna change, and never realize Lynn has some redeeming qualities, regardless of barely improving that much. I remember when the Fresh Knight, a long-time Loud House fan, made a nutshell and mocked Lynn's fatedom, those who had a deep hatred of her and wanted her dead and got to the fights. I can see he got tired of Lynn's fate in a toxic way, so he made this and told them off their stupidity. People still refuse to shake off their pure hatred of Lynn and lash at her and Fresh Knight himself. I wanted to go there to achieve it for the sake of the video, but unfortunately, no one has it, and didn't bother to publish it in Wayback Machine or something. I get the artist of this work got exiled for a controversial reason, so I have to put it here and see what it sounds like. No offense to him. If you think about it, Lynn's fatedom is still stuck in the past, who never let go of blinded hatred in no such luck and waiting for her to die in real life. And Lynn Loud Jr. fans are no better, by the way. Even by their standards, who got tired of seeing no such luck feature with hate art, hate memes, and shit. It's clear that Lynn stands are full of oversensitive data-keeping fans who don't associate with Lynn's fatedom and flat out saying, hate is getting old status quote. It's got little irony that people claim Lynn fans is chill and not toxic. Ignore the facts, people are full of defensive data-keeping and lose their shit when someone hates their beloved Lynn Loud without doing anything rash. If you express negative thoughts in Lynn Loud Jr. as a whole, they will block you, report you, harass you, make hate memes out of you, etc. Sheesh. The Loud House fandom is full of data keepers and thinks that the entire Loud family is special treatment and gets extremely pissed off monkey when someone disagrees with them or hates Loud family in general and contradicts themselves. Just like how overpraised characters like Ronnie and Santiago and Sam Sharp, given both of them serve as shipping material and care little about anything other than their beloved ships respectively, and get pissy once they express a negative opinion on them. And I have seen online that some people adore fanwork between Lynn and Clyde and ship them like a FedEx. Mainly because of fan art and fanfiction's reasons and waiting for Lynn and Clyde end up canonically, just for fanart generic explanation at the end of the series or something. And of course, sport and bird cliches ships. Well, I'm very sorry to say, but I have to disagree with that. I don't see Lynn and Clyde getting together, considering it might have rehash as Ronnie Collin, as I mentioned. Even they did have minor interactions, I just don't see it as a couple, especially when Lynn is piss poor character development and remains an unlikable and boring character. Aside from that, I don't want to see the writer and the rest of the crew waste time milking and overbearing ships that actually can slow down an abandoned plot that is never brought up again. Throw away character development, believe it or not. To the point, the Loud House makes utterly unwatchable once their beloved ship becomes canon to please them and ruin their works and series alike. Since they never shut up about shipping 24/7, until they got what they wanted to prove their loyalty. Long tension aside, they are all desperately hoping that Lynn and Clyde end up getting together for some reason. Due to their huge boner for shipping, whenever they draw character fanart between them involves heartwarming, romance, and some sort. You know, I could go on and about this, but as I said, it's probably not going to be a long explanation, and I definitely have no clue what to say here. And that's the wrap for the topic. So, let us have final thoughts in this character. Lynn is a pretty awful character now, and there is nothing changed here the way she has been an unlikable character since season 2 and barely gives her a shine with proper improvement and stuck with loathsome character traits whatsoever. I would give her a chance that a lot of people said she's changed and received character development that she supposedly improved, but sadly, that's not gonna happen and she never will be. She may have a sad backstory, but her action is not good enough since she's reverted her old ways and unlearned any of it, considering status quo is god tropes for the sake of comedy. Oh, I never thought I had to say this despite how I feel about her. It's not entirely Lynn Jr.'s fault that the writers screwed it up and threw away her character development when she had a chance and blew it immediately. They never gave her a chance and made Lynn's utterly annoying and boring character for the rest of the show. I guess she has bonded with her sibling and made it a less mean-spirited tone for the sake of family bonding, and that is it. And of course, she cares about her friends and teammates and is one of her few redeeming qualities. So, you don't have to convince me and Lynn has lost cause now and never improved since then. And here is the thing, I honestly cannot wait for Jessica DeSico to be done with this show, so she can move on to another show or something. I'm sure some people claim that Jessica DeSico will be her last voicing role and probably won't get any roles in the future after the Loud House. I highly doubt she would, because Jessica has plenty of roles in the future, and I'll gladly be there if I gain any interest in certain media. She's really good as her actress. It's like people would claim this show cancelled without their beloved celebrities like their fan favorite Grey Belial Griffins. Mostly, because she is way too good in her roles with Lana, Lola, and Lily and certain characters she voices with cute looking and tomboy's personality and talks to herself. Despite the fact, after all the crap she has done back then, so Nickelodeon might hire another voice actress in case, if she got fired for a controversial reason with milking shit, but it's for a good cause for her crisis. And what I heard, Haley Ju, who played Stella's dog, and Marcy Wu from Amphibia, if you don't know her, is willingly retiring her recurring role after season 6, because she has other things to do for interest, which I can't blame her. And I'm actually glad she'll be left the show after season 6, so I was hoping what she does next for the future, and how she is treated during the hiatus of her voice acting career. This show is starting to suck and turn into an unfunny Family Guy version and probably a romantic comedy drama plotline. Whenever their beloved ships come on they care about. Not even the creator of this was fired for an obvious reason and have a cesspool of bad writing with boring episode and barely make any character interesting with poor writing and some shit. So yeah, with my respect for Jessica Dixio, she needs to be done with the show so she can move on to another series or whatever. And so does, despite I have benefited out the way Nickelodeon is still desperately milking Loud House today, season 7 will be last as well. I'm really tired of Nickelodeon pushing them too hard and ruining their longtime fan favorite celebrity's career and dealing with money grabbers for its made for kids bullshit. And especially people only care about shipping bullshit too. So, this is goodbye to this video, and I'll see you next time, I suppose. Oh, one more thing, there are better written with passionate sports girl characters out there and watch one of the anime sports girls. It makes logical sense and makes the plot better with good writing.